So, Steve, Amy, Dan, we had the coziest presentation in the world, 25 minutes of Animal Crossing New Horizons, and there are so many details to take in here, so right off the bat, Steve, what was the best thing that you saw in this presentation?
Oh my gosh, the permits for modifying your island, like that was so unexpected and so freaking cool to see. Also, swing tree leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw that back at E3, like the leaves swaying a bit, but it's so cool to see as the seasons go by, the wind kind of gets stronger and you see these individual leaves just go like a little bit more noticeable each time. That was just super cool. Dan, were you satisfied with what you saw in this presentation?
I was, for somebody who's been following this game and trying to get all the details out, I was happy to finally have some names to these characters that we've been seeing in all the artwork. So, for example, the new Tunips character is called Daisy May, and then the two holders of the contest are called JC and Flick. So it's just nice to have like names to besides these characters, finally.
And Amy, was anything missing for you in this presentation?
Oh man, I was getting ready for what I like.
We'll get there, we'll get there.
Okay, so missing, I guess the whole can't back up your game and you can't really switch it to another Switch, and people of the same Switch can't have their own island. I guess that, then I'll go with that.
The one thing you said to me was the lack of DJ KK. Where's he at?
Oh, right. Yeah, some animals aren't going to be there at the start. They're going to come in later, it seems like. So, not sure why, but maybe just to keep it fresh and keep adding more people in?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right. I think that's a really great move. Like, because one of the things, and I think we mentioned this in our previous discussion that I have issues with, is that once you lose momentum with Animal Crossing, it's very difficult for it to regain it. And I think kind of like gradually reintroducing old villagers via amiibo cards or whatever is a really great way to get people to jump back in if they've let their island fall to neglect for a while.
I like how they've given use to it too. Like now those cards, you can still keep using. There's value to those. If you have the amiibo, you can use them.
I mean, there's value to a lot of old stuff. Like you can bring in your old QR codes from New Leaf or Happy Home Designer. That's a super cool move.
Yeah.
And I called in the last discussion, they're going to use the Nintendo Switch online app.
Yeah, you did, man.
Yep, they are.
I hope you're happy.
Yeah.
They sure are.
And because they need a way to bring in those old QR codes, and that seemed like the most likely option. Because there's no other way to import them into New Horizons.
Right. Speaking of like ways to bring you back, I thought the Nook Miles was just a great incentive, like giving you objectives to do, like catching a certain amount of fish. It sort of gamifies Animal Crossing a bit more, which is something that always gets me out, because I play for a couple of months and then like Steve said, you kind of fall off after a while. But having like all these updates and objectives, this just feels like a great way to like keep you continuously playing this game.
Oh, absolutely. I feel that they kind of done that with the Welcome Amiibo update, where you also had like 4 objectives in a week. But now it seems like they're expanding it a whole lot more with like more daily stuff for you to do, which I think is an important step in that direction.
Yeah, it kind of encourages you to check out all that Animal Crossing can offer, and it kind of gets you to see all the different things you can do, and it gives you points for that, and you can help pay off your loan with that. That's pretty cool. It's like encouraging you to pay off by exploring the game. That's pretty neat.
So before we get into the more minute details, let's just go on our overall impressions. How good is New Horizons looking to you guys? Like, are you blown away with how it looks, or are there some sort of segments that are kind of underwhelming to you, seeming as it's been 8 years now since New Leaf? So how are you feeling about this?
So I am pretty happy with how you can lay out a town. Because I had some doubts before going into this presentation, but the fact that you can even set where stores are going, where the museum goes, how you shape the environment, that seems incredible to me. It makes the town in itself like your own personal playing field, which I feel there was also always a disconnect between the previous games in the series. But yeah, I've been blown away by that specific aspect of it.
I love how you can just round off edges. Like, that's such a minute detail, but being able to round out the cliff sides that you've dug up or the paths that you've made, it's just something that those who want a perfectionist island are going to just love. And seeing people's creations online is going to be insane.
Oh, it's going to be so good. People can make such amazing things with this. They've always done so much better than me. My island always or like my area always looks so boring, and then I go online and look at these masterpieces. I can't wait to see what they do.
I like for a fact that you can also, right from the get-go, choose the layout out of a selection of 4.
Yes.
So you can already start brainstorming ideas with the layout that you choose.
And you can tweak it around, too, after you've chosen it. Like, you can make a waterfall out of a pond. You can connect things, like... And you can use ladders. Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not getting ahead. Go ahead, John.
I mean, that's actually a cool thing to say as well, though, because with Animal Crossing, usually you're sort of stuck with what you get, whereas now you have way more choice. Like being able to not only choose those 4 panels, but also customize your island to a far greater extent. So it just, I guess that's also a way to keep you coming back, because you're not just stuck with the same setting every single day. You can completely change everything if you want to.
Yeah, I wonder if you can make a bridge by doing that, the dirt throwing mechanic where you know that part where they were throwing the dirt into the water and it made that little peninsula looking thing? I wonder if you could actually make your own bridge that way.
You
like
probably could, yeah.
Like a cheaper way to make a bridge.
Visually speaking, the game just looks so nice. It's so lovely.
Yes.
When they went into the museum
so cozy.
and you saw like the light rays coming in through the roof and the aquarium and the way all the fish are just so detailed, man, I can just see myself just walking around and just staring at this game.
I know. The museum, that's what I was going to say earlier for the part that I was most excited and impressed with. I can't wait to go in there. It just looks so beautiful in there.
It does.
I think all the stores also really well redesigned. If you look at the Able Sisters, there's a lot more room to roam about and actually test out what you actually want to buy. It's such a small detail, but I think it adds so much to the game.
Steve, tell me,
yes, sir,
what you thought about the customization in your house.
Oh man, that was huge. Yeah, so I skipped Happy Home Designer. It just didn't interest me in the slightest bit. And from what I understand, there are some elements of that in the customization for New Horizons, but just the incredible amount of freedom. Like, you saw a lot in that few seconds. One, you had like free control of the camera. You know, it seemed very smooth for you to be able to rotate and look at things from different angles. There's a point where you see the player select like 3 items on the wall at the same time and move them around.
Yeah,
it just looks like so. The refinements are huge, and if like me, you didn't play Happy Home Designer, it even seems it's just that much more impressive. But I just loved the original Animal Crossing games, everything's on kind of a grid pattern, right? And this seems much more freeform. Like you have much more freedom to place things. Like initially I thought this was one place where this game would not evolve at all. Like, it would just stick to the script, and it seems like very, very, very refined in comparison to what I've seen. I'm definitely excited, because for me, as much as I like living in the world of Animal Crossing and doing, day-to-day stuff, designing my actual place was probably like my least favorite thing. So just because it felt very restrictive. I feel like a lot of those restrictions will be lifted in this game.
But that's the theme,
yes.
right? I mean, like, the theme of this game is that there's basically no restrictions. You can customize your town, you can place items anywhere. I think we saw a fossil outside at one point.
Yeah. That was
and
so
it actually
cool.
looked like it. It actually looked like the dinosaur. So cool.
And also in one of the images that were showcased yesterday in the commercial, you can also now have like the bug cases outside. So basically any item is fair use this time around.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the storage, like in the house, you don't have to just take things into your pockets from the little like storage cases. It's just right there. That's so useful. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they introduced that with, I think with the Welcome Amiibo update in New Leaf. So it makes sense to have them there, but I don't think you will have that once you're still in the tent.
I loved when they went into the Mabel Sisters store, and you had you saw the clothing menu. You can just select anything, like your hats and your trousers and your shirts, and just the way it's laid out was just so well done. I think if anything to take from this game, visually and aesthetically, it's just incredibly well put together.
Yeah, and I also like that the clothing no longer lives in your pockets, and they're no longer icons that you have to press and find out what it is. You can just hover around to it, see what it looks like, and then put it on your character. It's just instantly better.
So much better. I remember having all these little pictures of clothes, and I'm like, what is this one? I have to put it on to see, and Yeah, that's such an improvement. I love that.
My memory's foggy on this, but could you do customized cushion patterns in previous Animal Crossing games?
Yes, you could. But it seems like they expand the selection a little bit. I couldn't see it fully from the menu, but it seems like you have more option to put it on different furniture this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, the customization just seems to be way above anything the series has ever done before. So I'm super excited just to see what everyone's put together. And Twitter's going to be full of people just posting all this stuff. And the photo mode is going to definitely deliver on that too. Which seems a bit more revamped than previous games, but of course you could still take photos in New Leaf and whatnot.
Yeah, the problem with photos is that you had to really time it. It seems like this is a whole lot better in how it works.
So about the online components as well, that was a huge part that we were looking forward to with New Horizons. Steve, did they deliver on that for you?
I think they did. So I'm not gonna lie, it's not the ideal implementation in my mind. I really wanted to be able to visit my friends' islands when they're not online on their Switch, but it still looks pretty good. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It pretty much is in line with what I expected. It's not necessarily what I was hoping for, but I'm okay with it.
How about you guys? Was there anything that you were hoping for out of online that they didn't deliver on, or does it just seem fine to you?
So one of the things that I was hoping for is there was some sort of restriction where you could just put in a passcode and go to somebody else's town. And they kind of delivered on that, because in previous games it was always restricted to you need to be connected to each other on the same system, or you need to put in a friend code and be on the same list. It seems like they're kind of removing from that. If you just want to come to somebody's house on the fly, even if it's for a one-off, you can just put in a passcode and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a one-time thing. You don't have to be like Switch friends or anything. So I think that'll make it good for streamers too, because then they don't have to, go through that whole process of adding people as a friend on the Switch. You can just put in that passcode and go right over.
Exactly, and if you're not best friends, they cannot technically do anything through your town because all the tools are locked.
That's very nice, because there's people out there who are going to be like, all right, new town, let's hack it up.
We didn't find out about things like Dream Towns, did we, in this? I don't think they said anything about
No,
that.
we didn't.
No.
So we'll see if they're in there, but we don't know just yet.
It's possible that's going to be in the expansion part whenever new buildings come into town, like the new community buildings. Mm-hmm. It's possible for that to show up.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that's kind of related to the place where you travel through Dodo Airlines, you can also use Nook Miles tickets to go to distant islands, like on tours, and then collect a whole bunch of stuff that you need. That's actually kind of nice.
How does that differ to previous games, Dana? What's the big incentive to do
that? You were limited by the resources you had in your town. So if you can use a ticket, like a Nook Miles ticket, you can go to a different island and collect the additional resources that you need, because you need a lot, especially with the DIY projects in this game.
Mm-hmm. It looks like it'll allow you to see different landscapes too. Like in New Leaf, you could have your own town's fruit, and then you could go to the island to get some of those fruits. But there were still some that you couldn't always get. And this way, you don't have to do little mini games to find them by chance. You can actually possibly see all the fruit a lot easier. That's my guess for this. Yeah.
And who knows, maybe some are on different hemispheres, so you can get different bugs and fish as well.
Yeah, exactly, because then you can go travel to a different season where different animals are going to be out. So
right.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I'm not entirely clear on this, but did they say that holidays will be updates rather than just being part of the calendar now?
Yeah,
that's what it sounded like.
That's the thing that I'm kind of worried about, because it also means that likely you can't time skim at all, because it would lock the holidays to updates. Mm. They already said that the day one update, which comes on launch day, March 20th, will add Bunny Day, which is basically the in-game form of Easter.
Mm.
Right.
So I guess there's an upside to that, in that people can't, it depends how much you care about like competitive Animal Crossing, but people can't cheat and get like Halloween items early or something like that. But on the other side, I don't really care if they do that, so it's more Nintendo just being really strict on this, I guess.
For sure. But it also, like, they're restricting a right amount, but also I feel that the updates might overdoing it a bit. But that's just a very personal thing, honestly. I feel that in general, like, it just makes sense to have constant updates and constantly be surprised by what they're adding with the game. It just means that the game parameters are more restricted this time around.
Do you think it's like a matter of time, like that buys them a little bit more time to get those assets done, or do you think it's more of this kind of controlled release system?
I don't know. I don't know what their plan is with this. It seems like they want to be more restrictive. At the same time, am I saddened that I won't see everything at the same time? No, not really. I mean, I want to experience this game day by day, so the updates don't really bother me at the end of the day. But I do think that it's weird when you compare that the rest of the games were already completely in there. Right. So it feels kind of off in a way, but it won't affect the game in the long run.
I think they're learning things from Splatoon, because we also have Nook doing those announcements, those news announcements, which feels just like the Squid Sisters.
Yes.
So I think they're almost doing that sort of rollout kind of strategy, which of course they did before in Splatoon. So yeah, maybe they just thought that was a good idea to bring back.
They are the same team, so...
So I personally think that this is a pretty wise move on Nintendo's part. One, I think that, it helps the longevity of the game, because if they didn't do this, on day one, someone would skip through the whole year and post videos of like every single holiday. So
right.
Nobody's going to know what these holidays look like until right around the real world time that they occur. And the other thing that I like about this is it technically gives Nintendo the capability to change what the holiday celebrations are every year. If they choose to continue to support Animal Crossing past its first year, who's to say that Bunny Day will look the same in 2021 as it does this year? If they're doing it via updates, they can modify what that looks like. So we can have something different.
A brand new set of furniture every year.
Exactly.
That would be
they
really
could introduce
cool.
annual furniture or different prizes or what have you. And John, I know that you predicted, and we didn't see it unfortunately, you predicted that we may get paid DLC for Animal
You say
Crossing.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of happy we didn't get that.
Having your events as updates would be a great way to tie into something like that a year down the road or more.
I think the big problem with having annual furniture is that some people will lose out on sets that they really want in their game.
That's true, but I also think that's part of the incentive to keep bringing you back, so you don't feel like you're gonna miss out. So I think it's a weird balance, because on one half, I agree that people shouldn't miss out, but on the other side, I think they definitely just want you to keep continuously checking in.
Yeah, I can definitely foresee someone playing and then maybe falling off of it for a little while, and then the next holiday comes up and they're like, oh yeah, what's that look like in Animal Crossing, and getting back into it. So I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Especially with it being an event, I could see it being kind of a community feel, like everybody coming together on Twitter like, hey guys, come on, check out the new furniture. I don't know, it just seems like it might be a more community-based event as well. So the bug injuries.
Oh yeah.
Do you die? I wonder what happens when you get stung that many times that you pass out. Like, do you just wake up in your house?
Well, they implied something bad. Like they said.
Yeah, I know.
They said or something else, and that sounded really really scary. So
very ominous.
Maybe you die.
I know, you have to start all over. You died. And then when you start as the new villager, all the stuff is still there from the previous villager.
It's like zombie years.
It's getting dark.
Also, I like how we hoped for an in-game postal service between islands, and they just said use the online app. So okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have some kind of I guess compromise between the two, but it was cool being able to just type things on your phone and it coming up in game. I guess it's not too different to just sending a text, but actually seeing it come up in Animal Crossing, that's kind of cool. Also not new, though. We've had that kind of function in previous ones, but I guess the Switch kind of needs it, because when you're playing in docked mode, you can't just use the touchscreen to type, so yeah, it's kind of what we need. So one thing that we did find out in this Direct was the new function for Mr. Rossetti. So he's been a bit of a mystery, because we've known he's not going to be doing his general resetting role, because the game autosaves now. But we figured out he's actually a fast travel companion, apparently. So you call up the helicopter on your phone, and then you hear the Rossetti theme, and he takes you back to your house. So that's actually kind of cool. They're just giving you more ways to get around the island.
Right, yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be more drop-off zones or if it's only your house.
That's a good question, because the way they classified that was as a rescue app, like if you're stuck.
Yeah.
So to me, it does kind of make sense that they would only take you to your house, because it doesn't seem like it's meant to take you other places. But my main question is, if you're on a different island, what happens when if you're on a friend's island or even a random island, what happens when you use that? Or can you use that?
I guess it would just take you to the leader's house. I'm not sure. But now I'm wondering, what if you could build a little zone to go to fast travel to? Because whenever they were saying that you could get stuck, I was like, how could you get stuck? But now that you can change your island around, I guess there's a way that you could potentially make yourself on this little island that you can't get out of, I guess. If you dig up the earth all around you. You could maybe you'll need it, because if your friends come over you and you dig them off into their own little space that they can't get by, they'll need to use it too. I don't know. I wonder what it would do though. That's a great question.
Yeah,
I'm curious about more of the phone app, because I think they said that more apps will become available the longer you spend in the game, or at least the more updates there are. So it seems like there's definitely going to be more functionality as the game goes on, which I think we called in our predictions.
And that makes sense too. You're starting out on this deserted island, there's not a whole lot there, and then as you build and grow the community on the island, it makes sense that more options would be available to you on the apps too.
Yeah, I think one of Steve's predictions kind of came true with Isabelle as well. Didn't you say something about them sort of ranking the islands in there?
Oh yeah, we did. Okay, sorry. I was waiting for Isabelle, and I was like, all I said was she's a corporate shill now, but we knew that. So yeah, one of my predictions was that islands would be given some type of rating or level, and that may be tied to how you unlock more content or unlock more capabilities. And we did notice that when you talk to Isabelle, there is like a check your island rating option. It's the very first one in your dialogue options with Isabelle. So it does seem that there is some ranking aspect to your island, and it would only make sense. I mean, they clearly didn't elaborate on this. We just kind of saw it there. But it would make sense for it to be tied to other things becoming available to you. We know that not everything is going to be there from right off the bat, but the direct was very vague, you'll get more stuff over time. Well, what stuff?
Yeah.
But so yeah. Fortunately, I did call that one to a degree. It's just it's still up in the air as to what you get tied to that island rating. But I'm imagining that your permits probably are somehow linked to that, because you need the permits to be able to rebuild your island. So I would imagine once your island reaches a certain rating, that's when you get the ability to start designing it yourself.
The words over time we've used a lot in this discussion. Everything is over time. The Nook apps are over time. Getting more facilities, that's more over time. Do you think coming in to this as an Animal Crossing veteran, will it feel basic to start with, or are we just going to be to and through with all the new stuff that's here?
I think it'll feel kind of fresh, honestly. Because when you came into a town, you didn't really enter a blank slate. Everything was already built for you. This really feels like you're starting from scratch. You can place the tents from the get-go from you and your villagers, and then you set out on your own little adventure. I think that's really refreshing.
Yeah, I think it's going to come across like a blank canvas. The veterans will probably feel really at home. They'll have this plan. They'll have an idea of what they want to do with it. And then newcomers will also not feel so overwhelmed with all this stuff they don't know how to do or what to do in the whole village. So I think it works for both, honestly, because having a blank canvas is so... Sure. The possibilities are there. It gets you excited. All right, let's do this. And you can really get into depth with all the new things they introduce to you. And I think it works for both sides.
Yeah,
absolutely.
John, I've been playing this series almost as long as you've been alive.
Oh, God.
And,
oh, no.
I feel like Animal Crossing New Horizons is actually going to feel more foreign at first and will gradually become, to borrow a phrase from you, more cozy over time. Because you start to look, and it wasn't until about halfway through the direct that they started to show more things that seemed more traditional in an Animal Crossing sense, right? It wasn't until about halfway through that they talked about, okay, here's how you get a house. Here's how you furnish the insides of this place. Like a lot of it, you land and like Amy and Don both said, there's nothing. And that's not a very typical Animal Crossing experience. But as you progress, you're able to build the things that are probably more traditionally recognized as being Animal Crossing stuff. Because halfway through, you start to notice the house designs look very similar. Just everything's a lot prettier. So I feel like it's something that starts off completely different and morphs into something more familiar.
Yeah. One thing that Andre wasn't too happy with, actually, was he thought it just kind of looked like more Animal Crossing from that point on. Do you think that freshness is still going to carry on even after we've established everything?
I think that there is a lot of new, especially when you look at the facilities and how they're presenting themselves. Like, the museum looks extremely different from any other Animal Crossing game, where they all looked really similar. I feel how the setup of the fossils is done, how the aquarium looks insanely different and are much more beautiful. The same with the stores, the same with how you can expand your island, and I think it is in the details. Like, if you look from a distance, sure, it looks like another Animal Crossing game, but if you look in the details, you see something completely new, like a refresh for that series.
Yeah, we haven't had a console Animal Crossing in... Well, when was Let's Go to the City or City Folk? Was that in 2008?
That was the infamous 2008 year, yes.
So it's been a long time. And so we're going from 3DS to Switch, so the jump in graphics can't really be understated. It's insane how good this game looks.
And I must say, it can be understated how much better it looks in comparison to the previous games, but also... how much of a jump it is, because New Leaf was like the right direction for the series, where I think that City Folk kind of left you hanging and felt like an HD version of Wild World.
Sure.
This feels like the right step and the right time to do so and do more creative things with it. Mm-hmm. So honestly, like, from every point of view, I think this is a much better proposition.
Absolutely. Right, so are there any other major elements that you guys want to talk about?
Once again, for me, it's in the details. For example, they showed you how you can now reach the higher points early in the game, which is through ladders, which I found fun to see.
I love that. In the pole vault.
Because I thought it would be blocked off until you build slopes or staircases, but it seems like you can access them from pretty early on when you craft said ladder.
Yeah, so I guess slopes and all that are just sort of aesthetically there, but it's great that you're not sort of blocked off from these features just because you don't have them yet. So yeah, that's really sweet.
So some of my favorite things are just the level of control you have is really great. Like, and I know they didn't touch on it in this direct, but you can uproot trees, for instance, and move them. You can move the shop, which I thought was really cool. They didn't really emphasize that too much, but. Like, if actual elements of the town that you didn't build are in the way, you can move them, it seems.
Well, you can place them yourself initially, so that's the big thing here.
Nice.
Yeah. You can change it up. Like, say you have one idea for your island, and then you change your mind later on. Like, oh, actually, I want to change it to this other design. You can do that because you can move it around now. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I love that the villagers actually, ask you, hey, where do you want me to live? And you can plop their stuff down there. So it's really cool. I like the level of control you have. You kind of have this ownership of your island. And the other thing that I'm a really big fan of is getting to pick your island layout, even if it's just out of 4 options. I really like being able to pick that layout before I go in.
Right.
Because I remember with New Leaf, just resetting my game to get one that I liked. and then being like, okay, I like this one. I'm going to play this.
Same with the character creation. I'm just happy you can do that because I did the same thing before as well, where I had to go back through the questions like, okay, let me get a guide because I want these specific eyes. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we still don't know how you will perceive your initial character if you can build it from scratch. That's something we discussed in the last discussion and hoped for to see. We have seen the layout. We have seen how you start your adventure. Mm-hmm. We don't still know how you obtain a specific character with the racial features and with a specific hairstyle and eyes. But it doesn't take long to find out. We're like a month away.
Yeah.
There's so much customization that I've got to imagine that you choose it. Like that you can. There's so many different skin tones we've seen, and eye types and nose types.
Exactly.
I can't imagine that would be through questions.
I thought I saw it somewhere in there. Maybe not.
There was a clothing menu, which that might have been what you saw.
Maybe that's what I thought it was. Yeah.
But the clothing menu, we do see a backpacks icon in there.
Oh.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
backpacks are totally a thing in this game where you can where you can store stuff. I am sticking with that.
Dan's backpack theory.
It makes sense. Like, then you can have way more storage. I would really love that. That would be amazing if they did that.
So to wrap up, I want you guys to tell me the cutest thing that you saw in this presentation. And to give you a bit of time to think, I'll choose mine first. So the cutest thing that I saw was when you're talking to villagers and the lighting is just right. You can just sort of see these fuzzy features in them, and it makes them feel, I guess cozier. I can't think of any other word, but they just look so sweet like that. So what about you guys? What's the cutest thing you saw?
I like how all the animals are wearing more clothing items that presents their character traits. So in the previous games, especially sheep would only wear like a scarf in the previous games. But now they're wearing like full clothing items. So it's kind of funny, for example, how specific characters that are more posh have like this this scarf around their neck and like this more button-up shirt. It's actually like really adorable.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with the museum because I just love it in there so much. I want to go into all the different rooms and see how they've decided to lay it out. And just seeing the collection grow, that museum, and have it come alive, that's the cutest thing for me.
For me, it was actually a Photopia. That I really liked seeing just so many villagers together in one spot. And
that is cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. Just being able to gather like all your favorite villagers in this one specific island dedicated for taking group pictures and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. I can't wait to actually do that.
And moving the furniture around the way that you can in Home Designer, I'm very, very excited about that.
I'm just happy. I'm just happy we're only like a month from this game now. Is it exactly 1 month's time?
Yeah, March 20th.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so we're so close now.
So
we got to watch this direct again just to catch the smaller details because I think they went by so fast that there's obviously some major stuff we probably missed in there. But what were your guys' overall impressions of this? On like a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped are you for New Horizons?
Oh man, my hype is probably around a 9 right now. Like after seeing it, I'm like, yep, this is exactly what I want from a new Animal Crossing. So yeah, pretty high up there. I anticipate that this is a game I'll be playing for months. So really excited to know how I'll be playing my Switch into the summer.
I am also at a 9. I'm super excited. The reason it's not a 10 for me is just because I'm a little bit concerned about what if I lose my Switch or damage it. I know it says you can do it one time, but what if I also upgrade my Switch and I want to take all that progress and transfer it to my new Switch? That's the one thing that I'm like, come on, please.
For me, it's also a 9. Like, there are still some questions I have when it comes to characters and a few other things. But overall, how the game looks and presents itself, it's just really impressive.
Yes. So cozy. I can't wait. It's going to be like this perfect getaway, literally, from the stresses of everyday life. It's so great.
Exactly.
Yeah, Universal 9s. I'm really excited for this. This just feels like one of the most important games of the season. It's just one that you're going to lose yourself in for so long. And I'm sure it's going to be a big social game for us. And we'll probably do tons of online videos just as Game Explain. Maybe do our podcast within Animal Crossing or something like that.
Oh, that'd be fun. We could pick out our little villager avatars.
Yeah. Like speak over the online app. Anyway.
Oh, gosh.
All right, for more on Animal Crossing, you can find a bunch more on Game Explain. We have analyses coming up and so much more coverage for this direct. And you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for a bunch of Nintendo stuff. But until then, thank you for watching. And of course, be sure to subscribe to Game Explain for a lot more on New Horizons and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye.